Hello and welcome back to another episode. Indeed, welcome back to my most favourite time of the year. October is here, Halloween approaches, and this year, 2020, the dumpster fire of all years, certainly in my experience so far. Boy, oh boy, does my soul need this dark, delicious, atmospheric, story-ridden time of year is precisely what I crave, and what I crave to share with you guys as well. And so I've dived in a little bit early, a couple of weeks earlier than normal. I've decorated the office just to get into the spirit of things, to envelop myself in that atmosphere. And today I want to share with you the story of my killer teddy bear. I did not stutter. Brownie the bear is a killer. You see, normally Brownie lives over my shoulder on the shelf just there, presumably staring at me with dead, hungry eyes, because this bear has tried to kill me on no less than 2 occasions. Not longer after I was born, this bear wanted my life. And it all comes in the context of me having been born premature. I was born around 13 weeks premature, and that's quite an early birth. And in fact, I was so small, there's actually a photo of me resting on my dad's hand, roughly the size of this koala bear. I was like a small koala bear, Teddy, obviously. I was like a small potato in his hand, and that meant I was instantly whisked away when I was born after a very long labour, ironically enough. It was like a 18-hour labour. I was whisked away and put in an incubator, in a box in the intensive care unit, as it would be called today. And there I fought for my life, and indeed I was constantly being monitored by the nursing staff. And there were other complications as well. So, for example, I had what's called a hernia. And I think what this means in my instance, or in my case, was that my insides, because I was so small and so early, my guts were kind of squishing out through my hips, as it were, through my leg socket. So they had to operate on me to put my leg where it should be and make sure everything was inside where it should be. So there was lots of things to worry about. And then I went and caught meningitis. They don't even know how I caught meningitis, but I did. And an experimental drug was used on me, primarily because they thought I wouldn't survive, because I was so early when I was born. They didn't tell my parents, and when they only shared that information when I showed signs of improving. And then they said, well, he's probably going to have brain damage, if not because of being premature, then almost certainly because of the drug that we've given him. They said I would have spatial awareness issues, which I kind of do a little bit, but also at the same time I'm very adept at driving and drawing and art and observation, this kind of thing, and language problems and so many other things. So my parents were very, very stressed, and for many of my early years I remember having all these tests that I thought were just normal. Obviously that's just my life. But these tests were to test things like spatial awareness, like hearing, like language, like cognition, this kind of thing. So they were very, very worried. And therefore, people were bringing all sorts of presents. And one of the presents that was brought to my incubator was Brownie the bear, or at least as I came to name him, Brownie the bear. And in all fairness, actually, he is one of my best friends. I've had him with me all my life, and I do actually adore him, even though he is a psychopath. You see, I was so small that when they put Brownie in the incubator, he seemingly wanted to crush me alive. He fell onto me. And one of the nursing staff was walking past the incubator and just saw my arms and legs squirming underneath this bear. I went, oh! Picked up the bear and sort of propped him and sort of kind of tied him, or taped him or something to the corner of the inside of the incubator. But then my dad's dad, my granddad, came for a visit, and he went, "What is this bear? It's got tape on it." Took the tape off. So once again, the bear saw its chance and pounced and tried to kill me. This time he was sort of resting kind of long ways on me, so almost face to face. And again, thankfully they spotted that my vitals had changed because Brownie was trying to suffocate me, this bloodthirsty bear. Now, what's interesting is that they did finally cotton on to this, and they brought a table close by, and they put the bear and other things, flowers, etc., on the table. And this bear replaced Brownie in the incubator. Now, I'll just put you over here. Okay, no need to get angry or. This bear replaced him, this koala, and the reason why this one is so interesting is partly because it demonstrates how small I was, but also on his waist is the wristband that normally goes on the wrist, for example, of a baby in intensive care. But I was so small that wristband was in fact around my waist. So he's wearing like a championship belt, like a wrestling belt, the identifying little tag that they gave me when I was fighting for my life in those early days. Now, to be fair, I don't really blame Brownie. It's gravity, it's grown-ups, it's all sorts of other issues that made him a killer. He may have had psychopathic tendencies, but the environment, it's nature versus nurture, and in this instance I think nurture had a big role to play in Brownie's path down that criminal road. So I keep an eye on him. This is the reason why I take him everywhere I go. He's always been with me, at home, at university, and obviously in every house I've lived in since. So it's a good idea to keep an eye on disturbed members of your family. But also, in all seriousness, I love these two bears partly because they've been with me my whole life, but also partly because they remind me every now and then just how fortunate I am. In recent videos, or in a recent video, I've talked about some of the more difficult parts of my childhood and the challenges of growing up with a very mentally unwell parent. But this little bear reminds me how fortunate I am just to have made it out of the hospital. How fortunate I am to have developed a brain in a normal way and not been held back in any serious intellectual way because of the fact that I survived meningitis. And to a certain extent, how lucky I am to have survived an experimental regime of medicine as well in the hospital. So Brownie the bear may be a killer, but he's my bear, and therefore I love him. I do. No! 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 No!